I learned an interesting lesson from my grandmother many, many years ago, and I think it is one of our greatest problems today, why we can't use our sense of humor as often as we would like to. My grandmother used to come to visit us in Thorold. She would come from Hamilton. The first thing we would do when she arrived is we would hide her suitcase. And then we knew she'd have to just stay and stay and stay because we loved her so much. My grandmother only had grade 1 education, but she was a very wise woman. Very warm, very, very witty. We couldn't wait for Nona to talk to us, to tell us stories. We'd go off to bed and we would yell down, "Nona, come on, Nona, hurry up, come and tell us a story." Well, you see, my Nona didn't hurry up for anybody. My Nona carried about 255. I got a lot to look forward to. Nona would waddle on up to the bedroom. We'd say, "Come on, Nona, hurry up." And she'd say, "Ah, Fia." Fia means loved one in Italian. "Ah, Fia, I'm not ready yet." Well, then Nona would go over to the side of the bed. Now, you know yourself, we have all been trained, regardless of our body composition, our size. When we sit down, we lower our bum and our knees will stay together just like Lady Vanier herself. But it's not natural. Nona would waddle on over to the bed, she'd lower her bum, and the first thing that would happen are these legs would go woof to the outside where she was comfortable. And then, of course, we had to wait for Nona to get changed. We'd say, "Come on, Nona, Fia, I'm not ready yet." Well, you know, getting changed from civvies into flannelettes, you all know what it's like. For the lone gentleman in the room, when you look around right now, you are just whacking your head thinking, "I can't believe my good fortune. I'm surrounded by these wonderful women." Isn't that right, gentlemen? Of course it is. But let me share a secret with you, gentlemen, on behalf of all of the other women in the room. You look around and you clearly see 200 hot women of the 90s. Isn't that right, ladies? However, if right now I declared this a giant pajama party and gave out 200 flannelette nightgowns to all of these wonderful women, on the count of 3, little would you believe that every woman in this room is skilled, knowledgeable, and talented enough to, on the count of 3, get out of their civvies into their flannelettes, and you guys would not see 1 inch of skin. Isn't that right, ladies? This is how it works. Nona would drop her flannelettes on her shoulder. She'd kind of wiggle out of her house dress. And then we had the sound effects of her corset. You remember the corset of the 50s, kind of pinky, beigey, salmon-y, you know that color. First we'd hear the hooks and eyes. 26 sets of hooks and eyes. And then we'd have the zippers. And then the laces. And before our very eyes, whoa! There spread out Nona on the bed. And again we'd say, "Come on, Nona, Fee, I'm not ready yet." Well, then Nona would put her hands on her knees and she'd go, and we'd laugh because we laugh at things we don't understand. And we'd say, "Nona, what are you doing?" "Ah, Fia, it makes me feel good. You stand around all day, you cook, you clean, you talk to people, you listen to people's problems, you take it in. If you take it in and you don't let it go, Fia, it comes out in other places." At the time, we did not understand what Nona was getting at. But as I matured a bit, I realized that what Nona was trying to say in a very simple way is, fia. When you feel the tension, you gotta breathe deep and you gotta let it go. What she was advocating is simple breathing, because she said our bodies are like balloons. Oh yeah, you couldn't wait to get married. You couldn't wait to walk down the aisle with your honey on your arm. You gave up your plans for travel. You gave up your plans for further education. You knew what you wanted. And just this morning at breakfast, you looked across the table. Someone please remind me what it was that I fell in love with. Some of you couldn't wait to have children. Oh my goodness, that parental gene, whoa, it took off in you. So much so that some of you didn't wait the full 9 months until after you were married. And to that, my Nona used to say, fia. Sometimes first babies don't take 9 months. And now in the privacy of your own bathroom, you count on the fingers in your toes until you have freedom from those kids. But right now, I see some of you sitting upright going, well, not me. I'm an empty nester. Oh yeah? Joe and I were those once too. And let me tell you what happened. After 3 months, Dante arrived on the doorstep. We welcomed him home. Unfortunately, he came home with the philosophy of being Italian, I have the right to be home for a very, very long time. A month later, the second son came home with 72 pairs of size 14 Nike shoes behind him. And then a month later, the darling little girl showed up. The house was busting at the seams, and then my 89-year-old mother moved in. I can keep going with some of the typical daily stressors that you... Hey, you're not supposed to be enjoying this, lady. Just serve the coffee. Basically, what my Nona was advocating way back then is like this balloon. If all we ever do is inhale and restore and hold on to the tension, and we don't exhale, what's apt to happen to this balloon isn't pretty.